All I gotta say for this one, guys, is that I'm very happy that I didn't get this done before that, the trade, which we'll get into in a minute. Yeah, that's all I got on that, though. Anyways, though, yeah, I mean, that was part of the Steelers' offseason, but a lot of other things happened. Yeah, we'll see what they're looking like. Again, they're supposed to be the Super Bowl favorites, obviously, because, again, the Steelers have actually done something in the past 8 years. But, yeah, let's get into the roster. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fun NFL. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the Pittsburgh Steelers 2025 roster grades. This is a team that does think they can win the Super Bowl. I'll tell you if that's actually going to happen. It's not. But, yeah, again, if you haven't watched past roster grades, please do so, because that's going to be really important coming up definitely soon. So, yeah, there you go. Rapid fire coming up after this as well, so there'll be a little bit of a break between these next teams. But, like I said, if you've not watched past ones, go check Aura Farm, which is the Tennessee Titans 2024 grades. About this first 7 minutes or so after the intro. We'll give you a good gist about how this works. But outside of that, the only thing it really misses is the fact that, again, if you want to figure out what the letter grade is, you have to take, or you don't have to take this. Like a good baseline for about a C for the letter grade is about 234 points. That's, again, where your team wants to be above, hopefully. I don't know, maybe they're trying to tank. But this range is going to get on both sides of the ball is also good to mention. But, yeah, outside of that, let's get into this. With Aaron Rodgers, who, again, the Steelers signed like a week ago or something. I don't know. It was probably a long while ago by now. But, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, at this point in his career, is he really that good? I don't know. Statistically, he wasn't that bad at all. He can't move. That's just the simple truth about it now. Yeah, his release is probably the best in NFL history. He's got one of the best arms in NFL history. The interception rate's the lowest. But, again, he's thrown, what is it now? 3 pick sixes in his last 2 seasons. But yeah, ever since 2021, where he won that MVP, putting up another ridiculous season in terms of touchdown interception ratio. 2022 is his highest interception total since his, what was it, really rookie year starting? Yeah, 13, right? Something like that. Last year, though, really solid numbers overall, in my opinion. Again, this completion percentage was down, but it kind of made sense considering, they ran a fake offense. Yeah, I don't know what the hell the Jets were trying to do last year, but it really wasn't any sort of actual foundation of an offense. And when that happens, and you don't actually have a scheme to figure out, again, what you're going to adjust to every single play, and your quarterback's literally just kind of running things, probably not going to be very good. So, yeah, he probably could have put up better numbers and less of a finesse group. But with that said, it's not like he's better guys through. I'll tell you that right now. But, yeah, Aaron, very interesting situation here. Mason Rudolph, I think, is a decent backup. He put up numbers, probably the best way to put that. Last year, the Titans, their offense was pretty awful when he was on the field, but, I mean, he's still somewhat efficient. Threw a lot of picks, though. So, yeah, I don't know. Mason, again, there's worse guys to have. He brought them to the playoffs a couple years ago, so you can't really say much there. Will Howard, not a guy I want to see starting in the NFL. By any means, that's what I have him graded out as. But at the same time, he's got an okay arm, and he can run an offense, which is good enough. Skylar Thompson, he had, again, the playoff game with the Dolphins, and ever since he got killed last year against the Seahawks. But don't want to see him out there in the field either. Anyway, for the Steelers quarterback situation, I think I'm going to give Aaron Rodgers a B-, and that's for the benefit of the doubt. I think with him here, this offense will be at least functional and better than they were last year at the very least, because he can still read out the field. And with an offensive line that I don't think is actually that bad, there's something there for sure. But with that said, probably about a C+ is where I probably should have put him for where he actually is. But again, like I said, B for benefit of the doubt. One of the greatest probably the most talented quarterback of all time at this point. He does deserve to get that, as well as the fact that he was, again, decent overall last year. With that said, time for other things, because, I mean, it's not just going to be Aaron Rodgers. And those other things start out with this running back room, which is just a running back room. Okay, Jalen Warren, their projected starter. That is just not going to stick. He had a really interesting 2023 where he broke a crap ton of tackles, was explosive, and just overall a bowling ball. He did not want to get tackled that year. But still a guy that has pretty poor vision, and it's going to limit his ability to be a guy that's going to really be a starter. Also, like I said, he was explosive at times. That wasn't always the case. And as a receiver, he has never been able to run a route really well at all. And that's going to be an issue for Aaron Rodgers. But as a backup option, he's pretty decent. But like as a starter, no. Caleb Johnson, he has handled a starting workload, but I don't think he is a talent, like as an NFL talent, going to be a guy that's going to really give you anything maybe better than a little bit below average running production from an actual starting running back. But he has handled that workload before. He has a little bit of a ceiling in terms of his actual ability, or more of a floor to be honest, but like a little bit of a ceiling in his ability to take an extra yard on a run once in a while. But he's not going to be a difference maker for you, I don't think, really at all in his career. We'll see how he develops. But he's definitely a guy, again, we talked about Bucky Irving last year, again, a guy who can maybe break out. He's definitely a guy who could be able to do that. I could picture that happening. But with what I saw from him last year, I'm not, again, a guy that's really going to like go out and say that. really at all. Kenneth Gainwell, he's probably a guy that should be getting a decent amount of carries in this team because with the Eagles, yeah, last year wasn't great. He always was a pretty productive back who, again, could really just dart out of the backfield and get those yardage. His yards before contact are very good. After contact, where it gets a little bit weird. Trey Sermon's just an absolute bust. He's done absolutely nothing in his NFL career. I don't know why he's on this team. But when you talk about these top 3 guys, I think all of them, again, even Kenneth Gainwell, definitely a lower chance, have a shot at least getting one start this season. But none of these guys are really the answer for me. For that reason, I'm going to stick them at a D. We're going to say a D+. I'll be generous with that. I don't think any of these guys are going to really give you true starting running back production this season, and that's just a big question mark for me. It's better than what the Cowboys have going on, though, which is good, because, again, I think Jalen Warren's better than both Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, despite him not having a season nearly like Miles Sanders had. But still, at this point, Jalen Warren's not a starting caliber back. Caleb Johnson could, again, I wouldn't be surprised to put up a big season. Will it actually happen in my mind? Absolutely not. Kenneth Gainwell, I think he should be getting carries, but, like, how much does that actually mean? They don't have a guy that I really think will step up. But I'll say 9 points because, again, I still think they'll get something out of their running backs this year. Now we move over to wide receiver. DK Metcalf has been quietly one of the most consistent players in football, which is not something I usually say about him, since really 2021 overall. Past 2 seasons, he's almost gotten 1,000 yards each year. He's a guy who is consistently ticked up in his yard separation per route ran, but at the same time, in terms of like route wins per se, and what I saw on film wasn't anything like crazy from what we saw in the past. He's still a guy who's going to make a lot of big plays. His route running still isn't great, though, which again is always going to be an issue with him. But as a true number 1 wide receiver, absolutely that. Robert Woods, he's washed. There's no way around that. That yak yards that you're going to like know out of him, like anything push comes to shove, he'll run good routes. Maybe I'll get open too much, but he'll at least create yak out of it. Guys, he's so old. Like, he's freaking 33. He's slow. Not going to run great routes for you. Or no, he'll still run decent routes for you. Nothing dynamic coming. Like, the ceiling is so low on Robert Woods. Last season where he was actually putting up really good numbers for how he plays was probably 2021, but even then, like, had a rough year overall. I wouldn't say rough year, but again, probably was going to still put up 1,100 yards again by this pace, but like probably wasn't because of what Cooper Kupp was doing that year. But ever since then, just really hasn't been the dude. So again, maybe he'll give you wide receiver 3 production. Will that actually happen? I absolutely don't think so. Calvin Austin's probably the guy if we're talking fantasy-wise. He's definitely a guy you'd want to draft. Will he actually be that? Probably not. He does get open pretty decently, but his route tree is so small because he cannot get off the line whatsoever. His hands are also questionable, and again, his body control is not great as well. Aaron Rodgers probably won't be a guy that he'll want to throw to too much, but again, if they can develop a chemistry and again really get on time with each other, he can definitely be a guy that'll have a massive season. Will that actually happen? Probably not. Roman Wilson has to do something because if he doesn't, well, he probably won't be on this team next year. He was a huge non-factor from the last year for, again, a receiver position where they really needed someone to step up. Scotty Miller's a bum. Ben Skowronek, he was good for the Rams a couple times, again, especially when we went with Baker. But outside of that, really didn't do much. Lance McCutcheon has been had that one spear season that kept him on the roster for the Rams, but outside of that, hasn't done much at all. And then Brandon Johnson, I think he had that touchdown against the Commanders on that Hail Mary back in 2022, was it? Or 2023? That's about it on him, though. Outside of that, though, I'm going to give this receiving core a C. Again, as good as DK Metcalf is, like that's just not going to really move the needle for me. I might even argue a C- on that. But honestly, like he's like much more like to my liking than a guy like Calvin Ridley. But like, is it really that? This group's probably better than what the Titans have. So I'm gonna say it's C. That might be a little low. No, it's not even a little low. That's probably as high as I can go with this group because like we don't know what the hell's going on behind DK Metcalf. Beyond, my bad. Tight end, do not know what the hell is going on, but it's probably the deepest in football. Pat Freiermuth, is he their best tight end? I don't know. Last season he had a really nice season though. After a kind of a really bad 2023, to be honest with you guys. But his blocking still isn't anything to talk about really outside the fact that he's okay there. The biggest issue with him is he's just not as a weapon as Jonnu Smith, who I still don't know how the hell they got him in that trade. What the hell were the Dolphins doing? But yeah, Jonnu Smith is, again, a really good receiving option tight end. Last year, he was probably, overall, outside of a couple guys, probably the best receiving tight end in football. He just got open consistently. His route tree expanded a lot. And again, he's a guy who he's going to eat. Like, if they get him the ball, he'll have a freaking great season. Yeah, again, it's a blocker, yeah, get out. But still, very good weapon there. Darnell Wright, Washington, again, he still hasn't really shown me enough to actually think he's, like, a good player. But, like, last year in his little targets at 25, he was somewhat okay, but, like, he doesn't get open. He's slow. Like, pick it up, bro. And Connor Hayward's their fullback now, I guess. But probably the deepest tight end room in football, to be honest with you. I'll honestly give them a B+ here. I don't know how you don't give them that. Again, Pat Freiermuth was really good last year overall, and then you got Jonnu Smith putting up those numbers. I might even argue it's an A-. I think I actually will. That trade really does change things here again, because those two at tight end are really going to, again, they're going to work out well. But Darnell Washington, really, again, to elevate that group. But I'll say, again, if he's able to play better. But I think 20 points is fair, though, because, like, they were that good, both those players at times last year. So we're gonna say an A- at tight end for them. And then, again, now it's time for the offensive line. Now moving into the Steelers' offensive line, it's a group that there's a lot of good things to talk about. Broderick Jones, I just want to pull up his PFF because, again, it's a good thing to put a point on. Broderick Jones. There we go. Because this is a guy that, on film, really wasn't giving me much. And last year, also didn't really give me much. He's a tough guy for me because he's not a bad player, but, like, he hasn't really been consistent enough, especially as a pass protector, to really think that Aaron Rodgers will be, like, consistently safe there. But, again, with what they're going to try to instill this year with this O-line, I think it'll work out pretty well. But again, also, he just hasn't really been consistent enough for me to truly trust him. But overall, he's been a decent player. Dylan Cook, no. Cook is probably the worst last name you can have for an offensive lineman, and he hasn't really played much to actually prove otherwise. That's what I'll say on that. Isaac Salamalu, since coming to Steelers, probably been like one of the most underrated. Again, he just grinds out there, guys. He's going to be a really solid run blocker for you. I got he's 31 now, but really solid run blocker for you. And he's just going to be very consistent overall. Like, I really respect Isaac Salamalu. He'll do a lot for you. Spencer Anderson, decent depth piece. He can be moved around. Zach Frazier, one of the most impressive seasons from an interior offensive lineman last season. Again, I get he was just a rookie last season, but he was really good. I'd argue better than Graham Barton even. So, yeah. But we'll see if we can follow it up. Ryan McCollum, not a guy that I want to see in the field. Mason McCormick, oof. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting season from him because he wasn't bad last year overall, but guys, he got absolutely like tossed on some plays too. So like we'll see. Max Sharping played for the Texans, I'm not mistaken, in 2022. He was bad. Since hasn't really played, but he does have experience. Calvin Anderson is better than Spencer Anderson as a pass blocker, but I mean he should be. He's a freaking tackle. Troy Falton now. I'm confused because did he play last year? Like I'm truly honest with you guys. Like I'm actually. If you go into his reference, but did he play last year? No, yeah, he only played one game, got injured. That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, I'm not crazy. He got injured. Probably technically one of most refined tackles coming out of the draft in the past 10 years, but like he doesn't have the size or really just the strength or athleticism to really be said to be that sort of player. But coming out, again, the technique was great, and I think he'll have a really good season. But he got injured last year, so again, like the reduced athleticism could hurt him. But anyway, you gotta like this offensive line overall. I think a B is fair. Really the only guy that's actually performed at a super high, or the two guys that have performed at like a really high level at times have been Isaac Salamalu and Zach Frazier. Troy Falton, again, still a mystery despite, again, him really evaluating, grading out well. Broderick Jones, overall decent player, and then Mason McCormick, he's still working on things. So I'm going to say a B there. I think that is fair to say. Again, this is a group that I think is really solid. It's just if they can sustain blocks collectively will be the question. So 35, 9, 15, 20, 16 will put them at 95 points, which isn't the greatest, especially for a team that wants to win the Super Bowl. C+, and then we'll get to more of the identity after we get to this defense. Okay, this front seven, we'll get through the D-line first, to be honest with you guys here, but again, the linebacking, or just the linebackers overall, as well as the edge rushers, so definitely interesting to talk about. We'll start with Derek Harmon. I don't want to get to these very briefly. I wasn't a fan of him as a prospect, but again, with what happened to his, with his not his family, but what happened during the draft is just absolutely awful. Again, you can go see a whole thing on that in the 2025 NFL draft recap. But yeah, him as a prospect, we're just going just off of football. I don't think he'll ever be a guy, again, especially in terms of what we saw in terms of his like just dynamic play. Again, those high-end plays. I don't think he'll ever be a guy that'll like be a true difference maker as a pass rusher from the interior. But as a run defender, we'll see. But I don't see that as a pass rusher, but that's why I really wasn't high on him at all. And I think he was pretty flawed overall. Again, a lot of good things on him, had him graded out pretty well. I didn't see it as a run defender to really like be able to put him there because again, as a pass rusher, just didn't see it. So he's better than Yaya Black, though. That's what I'll say. But he should be really good. I was wrong on Keanu Benton, but like he wasn't my guy coming out. Isaac Loudermilk, yeah, he played last year and he got absolutely thrown around. Like again, I'm sorry, but like the casts that were on his refs and tape were just bad, really bad. Keanu Benton turned into a really solid nose tackle. Pressure, not going to be the most consistent from him, but he's going to be really good against the run. He's going to be very effective, and he's going to penetrate and move the pocket, which is what you need out of a nose tackle. So it's been great for them. Yaya Black doesn't do that too well. Really just the fact that he doesn't penetrate. He kind of just like stays in his place and he's going to get moved around against the run. Not a great thing going on there. Cam Hayward, Arguably, I really think so. Might have been the best year of his career last year. That might be a really crazy take, but like I honestly think that. Again, probably like 2015 Cam Hayward, and you could argue probably even 2017 Cam Hayward were better than this season. But I really don't even know if that's true because his pressure rate was crazy. Every single play, it seemed like he was making a difference. For a 36-year-old guy, guys, he was so good. Daniel Akule, I think he'll be okay as a depth piece. Will that actually happen? We'll see. Talking about Derek Harmon being the next Cam Hayward, I don't know about that, but Daniel Akule, if this is gonna load there, is a guy that played for the what's called Patriots past couple years. Last year had a pretty solid year against the run, but I don't know what it'll look on the Steelers defense, to be honest with you guys. Outside of that, though, Gene Lowry was absolutely terrible last year. DeMarvin Leal is not very good, and yeah, overall this D line though, I'll probably give them honestly a B+ on. No, we're gonna say a B+. No, B. I'm sorry, but there's no way Cam Hayward plays the same. Like, there's no way he does that again. Like, there's no way it happens. I refuse to believe he does what he did last year, but he was so good. Keanu Benton, he's really good, but I don't know. And Derek Harmon, again, I'm be honest, like, again, I had him graded to a point where I'm like, I can't tell you he's going to be a good player in the NFL as a rookie. I just can't do that. Like, from my grades, can't have that happen. The evaluation, again, I get on film there were times where like, oh, that was really good. I'm like, not really. So I don't know. I'm like torn on this. I'm gonna say a B though, because like I gotta just kind of find the balance with this, despite what I had what is called Derek Harmon graded out as. With that said, though, linebacking core, Patrick Queen, not an elite player by any means. No one really thinks he is, but I think last season's numbers were kind of like, oh yeah, kind of like career with the Ravens because the contract. And last year, like, oh, he was bad. Or he wasn't bad. He wasn't that great. He was still really solid last year. Like that's how it is. Yeah, coverage rating definitely went up. He wasn't as opportunistic at times, but outside of that, again, he was really good. Peyton Wilson, breakout rookie season. Huge rookie season, as I wouldn't say see coming, but I thought could have happened. He's definitely the highest ceiling linebacker, but again, with him being 25, again, that's a little bit of an issue, but again, he was phenomenal for them last year in coverage, which again is what you wanted out of him. So yeah, very fast, very good. He's Peyton Wilson. Cole Holcomb, very good depth piece. Again, don't really know. I wouldn't say his starting days are over, but I don't know if he's again like a guy that you'd really see out there and be like, yeah, he'll do you a good service there. Because ever since again, he got injured last year, I understand that. But ever since that injury in 2022 Commanders hasn't really looked the same. Then we look at where is he? Malik Harrison, former Raven. He'll do something. Mark Robinson probably do something if he got out there too. Then these other two guys might make the roster. Who knows? Linebacker though, I'll give them a B+. I like what's going on there. But again, neither one of those guys are elite yet or ever will be. Maybe Peyton Wilson. 27 points though. And yeah, pass rush time. I don't know if that's the best edge rusher to do in football, but it's pretty close. T.J. Watt wasn't the number one edge rusher in football like he was the previous 2 years, but he was still obviously putting up elite production. At most of the time at least. No, it was really just 2023 he was elite. But T.J. Watt, yeah, pretty darn good production from him last season, but again, it wasn't like this level. So that's what I was saying. But on film, same player, same explosiveness most of the time. But yeah, a little bit drop though. Definitely a little bit of a drop. Anyway though, Alex Highsmith. Yeah, he might have been the best pass rusher in football last year when he was on the field. I get he got injured and the sack numbers aren't that flashy, but he got pressure every single time he got off the line, most of the time at least. It looked like he had a guy beat every single time. Like I don't even know what it was, but yeah, this guy, his power is so underrated. It's not the best part of his game though. It's just the fact that he's able to improv. And again, he has so many things to utilize. He's so good. He's obviously not as good as C.J. Watt, but like for a second guy, like he's about as good as it gets. Nick Herbig, he got a lot of opportunities last year, like a lot. I get he only played again 13 games last year, but he had a lot of opportunities. The efficiency wasn't great, but he has just insane bend guys, and he really again he's not going to be this huge like big sort of like pain in the arse as run defender setting the edge all the time. But when he has a chance to, he's gonna make a play. Jack Sawyer, probably the most. I think I really expect him to have a good rookie season with this team. I understand he's not gonna be a guy if he's really put into a situation where he has to go one-on-one win this matchup every single time. It's just not gonna be the greatest because again he just doesn't really have much of a package. He's not really the most athletic or the most talented is probably the best way to put it. But he's still decently explosive enough where I think he can beat guys in ways like that. As well as the fact that I think, again, his hesitations will make it harder for tackles to really anticipate what he's going to do. But outside of that, Jeremiah Moon played a little bit last year. Really wasn't good. This edge rushing group is really good. Not really much different than last year. I'm going to probably stick it at an A for their pass rush because, again, the interior is going to get pressure one way or another from Keanu Benton and Cam Hayward. Derek Harmon, we'll see what happens. But, again, this edge rushing group is going to be still really good. So I'm going to say an A. This pass rush has been great for who knows how long. I don't really see much change in there. So 44 points there. And, yeah, secondary time. Okay, secondary for the Packers, not the Packers, Steelers. Again, I guess they're putting Jalen in the slot. But, again, if you didn't know, I hope you did. Again, that's probably the reason this was released at this time. But, Jalen Ramsey got traded along with Jonnu Smith, and they're paying him a boatload. That is Jalen. For Minkah, and again, a lot of Steelers fans don't want to hear that, but that wasn't a bad move by the Steelers. Again, I understand that are like, what the hell? But, guys, Minkah, again, people are saying he's slow. He's not slow. I wouldn't call him fast I wouldn't say. Again, if you compare 2018 Minkah and 2024 Minkah, again, we'll get more on this when we get the Dolphins, but the speed difference isn't really that big. The big difference is the fact that I don't really think he's as explosive. Is that the best way to put it? Again, I think he hasn't lost his step per se. It's just, again, Minkah isn't like as good. That's probably the best way to put it. But, yeah, we'll get more of that with Minkah. But, again, them losing him isn't that, again, it's a big deal because he's still a really good player. But, not really. Still a pretty solid player. Again, we'll get into this, I guess. Deshaun Elliott, same deal as always with him. He's going to give you pretty darn good play when he's on the field in terms of, like, his, again, athleticism because he's just that dude. His instincts aren't the greatest, though, and, again, that's going to hurt him in terms of actual performance. But, again, we talk about, like, high-end athletes in the football, again, for safety, who, again, is still pretty technically okay. He's going to be right there. So, again, kind of putting him in that, like, decent range. Again, there's definitely a floor for him. Miles Kilbrew, very opportunistic. He's made tackles. Sebastian Castro, definitely a much more natural fit as an actual down-to-down defender, though, than Miles Kilbrew. He probably should be playing over Quindle Johnson, though, if I'm being honest, though. Because Quindle Johnson, yes, he has decent range, but that's really about it. And I don't know how much you're supposed to do with that when you're playing on a defense that's going to be asked to make a lot of plays downhill. With that said, though, Juan Thornhill is not a good player at this point in his career. He was bad with the Browns last year. He was bad with them in 2023. He was bad with the Chiefs in 2022. He was pretty good as a rookie overall. 2020 was not really that impressive. Again, probably because of that ACL. And then 2021 with the Chiefs, he was okay, I guess. But, yeah, he's not that good of a player at this point in his career. This safety position gives me a lot of questions, but I don't think it's exactly bad. You asked why to go to safety first. Again, we had to adjust Minkah. So, kind of like doing it in reverse order here. But, I think the safety group deserves a C, which, again, losing Minkah is going to be definitely a loss for them, but I don't know how much of a loss it actually is. So that's going to be 9, and we say 15 points for that safety group. And then we look at the cornerbacks now. It's again, if this was 2018, Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey the best corners in football, arguably. I don't know about Darius Slay, but pretty close. Now, not really. Joey Porter Jr., I think, is just a decent player. He doesn't really match up that great in man coverage against a lot of receivers, just because I don't think he really has the speed or the hip fluidity to really match them. But again, overall, is okay in man, and as his own guy, we know he's not going to be great either. So, again, starting caliber corner for sure, but I don't think he's anything really more than that. Darius Slay, probably the worst year we saw from him in a while in 2024, probably since 2019, where he really wasn't that good. He got beat a lot last year, and again, that same playmaker sort of Darius Slay, we all come to know, really wasn't there last year. So he's going to probably try to prove himself a little bit next year. What could be, again, one of the last seasons of his career at this point. How old is he? 20? He's like 32, right? Guys, Darius Slay is old. Yeah, he's 34. Jesus, it's crazy still in the league. And he's still got speed to match with a lot of guys, though. Outside of that, though, Jalen Ramsey in the slot is definitely an interesting option here. Again, he played a lot of slot with the Rams the 2021 season, which was, I think, his last All-Pro season, if I'm not mistaken. 2022 with Miami, I still think he was an elite player. People might not think that, but I really think he was. And then last year, the Dolphins really wasn't that crazy of a year from him. He still was pretty darn good, but, like, I don't think Jalen's any sort of, like, elite player anymore. But, yeah, he'll still give you pretty good play. Corey Trice Jr., I think he's a decent player. James Pierre also could give them something. Again, we'll definitely talk about them more when we get the tier list for these guys. Beanie Bishop Jr. Was probably challenging Jared Verse for Defensive Rookie of the Year for part of the season before, he didn't play as much. Again, there's a good chance point that because his coverage stats overall weren't awesome. That film, he looked fine. Brandon Eccles has played in the past as well, so it's actually a pretty deep group overall at corner. I'm going to stick them at a solid B. I think that's fair to say. But again, I'm not going to try to overrate these guys. Again, Darius Slay, back end of his career, to say the least. Joey Porter is definitely a little bit overrated, and Jalen Ramsey can still give you pretty darn good play, but kind of trying to balance that out. 6-12, what are you saying? 16 points for the corners there, and then we add that all up. 31, 44, 16, and 27. 118 points for that defense, and that's going to put them in the, that's way wrong spot. We're going to say a B. I'm going to put a B for this defense. Again, that's not really the point live. I don't really care. B for that defense. Let's get into the other things again, especially that identity. Okay, I'm making the definitive decision to say that right now Chris Boswell's the best kicker in football. 93.2% again on this team. Also, again, crazy like he's the best kicker in Steelers history. I don't think that's wrong, right? I'm not missing anybody. Yeah, Chris Boswell's awesome. Cam Johnson's not a great punter. He just the numbers aren't great. Calvin Austin's a good punt returner. Kenneth Gainwell has been decent as a kick returner. And then Christian Kuntz is a good long snapper. Steelers always have quality special teams unit. I'm going to give them an A. That's going to be 3, 6, 9, and really just A for average for Cam Johnson there. Anyway, though, the depth, Steelers quarterback depth is definitely in question. I'm going to give them a B, though, because, Mason Rudolph's there. Running back depth, I'd probably give a B-. So, honestly, at this point, I give them benefit of that B-. Receiver depth is definitely a D. That's going to probably push them down to about a C, if I had to guess. C, tight end depth's an A+. That's going to probably move them up to a B-. O-line depth, I'd probably give a C, so we're probably down to a C+. So C+ for this offensive depth. Defensively, D-line depth, I'd probably give a B. I think, again, I like what's going on there. Linebacker depth, I'd also give a B. Edge rusher depth, I'd probably give a B as well. So, again, just straight up B so far. Corner depth, I give a B as well. And then safety depth, maybe a B-. But I think a B, and then we say a C. A C? We're going to say a B- for the Steelers depth. I think it's actually a strong depth team. The only position that I'm really concerned about for depth is obviously receiver. Outside of that, not really concerned much about this team in terms of their overall makeup. Maybe if Derek Harmon doesn't turn into something. Again, I'm not that high, but honestly, he'll probably be an average player at the very worst. That's the thing. What I haven't graded out? What do we have? Big board, right? Derek Harmon. Let's search this. I gotta get this over with. Derek Harmon. He was my 141, 7.3. Traits, talent to be a good, reliable backup. So, yeah, that's not the greatest projection, but I think you can go a little higher on that. Again, there's definitely ceilings there. But, yeah, what do we say? A B-. That's going to be 12, 24, 28 points. All right, identity. Steelers offensively. Aaron Rodgers could make this a mess. I'm going to give it a C because I don't really know what's going to go on here. It could be a big mess. It could be somewhat decent. But this offense, very big history on the depth. Or on that. Defensively, yeah. They overperformed last year overall. That's kind of just the truth on that. I don't know what's going on here with this thing. But, again, especially against good teams, they definitely got their arses handed to them at times. But overall, I like where it's at, so I'm going to say a B. For that reason, I'm going to say the Steelers' identity is a C+. And, guys, the thing about the Steelers team is I understand they haven't won a playoff game since 2017. Again, that's not good for the Steelers team. We all know about the Mike Tomlin streak and stuff, about 500 seasons. But at some point, that's going to get old. But at the same time, like, they've been mediocre to average, or just average, at least average, if we're talking dead-on statistics, average since, 2008? You got to have some sort of semblance of, like, we're going to be okay. That is something that a lot of other teams just don't have. It's that simple. That is invaluable. But complacency, obviously, is a big, dangerous thing. And, again, they've been, I won't say complacent, but they've been in the same place for a very long time. And that can be the opposite effect. So I'm going to say it a C+, a little bit average for their identity, because I think this team will be, well, I don't know if they'll start hot, but they'll figure it out by the end of the season. C+, hopefully it's not the same thing as everything. Again, they changed things up, which is good. And after all that, if we add this up, 11, 28, 25, 118, I think it's 95 for the other things, if I'm not mistaken, 95. 277 points for the Steelers roster. That is not a Super Bowl contending roster, but that'll put them in the B- tier, which is pretty good. I mean, yeah, there's definitely holes in this roster for sure. I mean, they don't really have much running back. The receiving position is tough, but they have decent depth. Again, the biggest thing I think comes back to if Derek Harmon embarrasses me, that's I think where this team will be. But they make the playoffs. Again, Steelers fans, you win a playoff game with Aaron Rodgers this year. That is your goal. Break that streak. Not the other streak, but break that streak, and you should be good. Again, for a team that, is trying to get out of being stuck, we'll see if it actually happens. That's all I got for the Steelers, though. And, yeah, it'll be a couple days until the next team.
Their second drive at the 47-yard line. Pressure from around the corner. They beat it with a play up the middle for Steven Jackson. There goes Steven Jackson. Touchdown, Rams. A 53-yard touchdown run.
That's what having Steven Jackson back in your lineup does for you. You have a home run threat from the backfield. Even though he's a big guy, 235 pounds, 240, he has the speed and the power to run